It just has to be destroyed. Like, I couldn't even explain to you the significance of the Watchtower having to be destroyed. Like, it's stealing lives. It's stealing childhoods. I was raised a witness. I didn't have a fucking childhood. Anytime I act childish, I was told to grow up. Like, I wasn't, like, they beat children of, like, 4 years old if they can't sit still at a hall. Who the fuck wants to sit still at a hall for 2 hours while someone talks about some shit that you've already heard before? Now, you may not realize it when you was 4 years old or something like that, but by the time you get to 12, when you get to 17, when you get to 20-something, you're hearing the same shit over and over again. So much to the point that you even study the same books. How many times have they gone over the Greatest Man book? The Greatest Man Who Ever Lives. How many times have they gone over the Revelation book? They've gone over the Daniel book. And they repeat this shit over and over. But yet, supposedly, you're in school learning new things all the time. They're not learning shit. They're reminding you of all the stuff that they've already indoctrinated and they've already put into you. Like, who else? Who wouldn't cry? Who wouldn't be upset? Who wouldn't be stir crazy? But yet, you have to sit still and you have to, just pay attention and try and draw something from the speaker and tell me what you learned and how you're going to use that in your life and how it affects you. Because if not, you're not being a good Christian. You're not being a good person. Because you're not a good person if you're not a Christian. Didn't I just talk about that in one of my videos? The fact that you can have friends. Now think about it. A lot of witnesses aren't doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Everyone always has the little conscience matters, and there's always someone on the other side looking at them thinking that that's wrong. Always. Even though Scripture said that if you're doing something, I can't remember the exact Scripture, but like if you're doing something and it's causing other ones to stumble, that you should stop doing it. Something's always causing someone else to stumble in there. So it's a fucking cycle. It's never gonna stop. But you can have a friend who, as far as you're concerned, is more righteous than even you. They never cuss. They never wear name brand clothing that has logos. They don't idolize, quote unquote, sports stars. They don't do any of this stuff. They even give back to their community. They pay their taxes on time. He's like, this is a good person. But they'll say, do they believe what you believe? Do they believe what you believe? If not, then they're not a true friend. But if you were a true friend, you would bring them to the hall so they can learn about Jehovah. So now they're telling you that they're not a true friend and that you're not being a true friend if you don't try to invite them. So if you try to invite them into this cult and then the person is like, I'm not really sure this is for me, you're supposed to cut them the fuck off. I was just reading. I got this Watchtower, alright? There's examples in it of people who left and came back. There's a guy who left and started using drugs. And a fellow drug user who was a close friend of his lost his father at a young age. So he often stayed up nights speaking with this person about the resurrection. And then, things like that, and it would warm the person's heart. And then he would talk to them like they would talk about the Trinity doctrine and different things in the Bible and stuff like that. And he said it got him thinking about Jehovah. So he went back to Jehovah. But when he went back to Jehovah, he cut off those friendships. So that person who was already depressed, which is why they were going down this downward spiral of drugs and alcohol and all these things like that, because they had lost their father and it was obviously disturbing them, has just lost another friend because that friend doesn't think you're good enough anymore because you don't believe what he believes. Is that loving? Is that Christian? Come on! That's the shit that I just cannot put up with. It pisses me off. It really does. And I haven't been angry about the Watchtower Society in a long time, but talking about all this shit has just brought up feelings inside of me, and I realized I'll never fucking go back. Never, ever, 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 ever. That's not a new realization. It's just compounded. It's just been reflected upon me that I will never, ever, 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 ever go back.